I think we'll get started. We appreciate you guys for joining us. I'm going to talk about our contactless solutions. So, what we'll do is talk about the thermal technology. And with that thermal technology, of course, we have our UBioX Pro with our thermal solution. And then I'm going to bring up the Iris solution again, since that's contactless. Just going to touch on the key sales features and advantages of these solutions. One quick look at the global market and what's going on in biometric. So we'll get started on the first slide. Now, before we jump into the thermal camera solution, I want to talk about the different types of temperature detection devices, because a lot of you may be confused what you're seeing out there with other competitors' products. So first, I want to explain a little bit about the first point. It's called thermocouple. What that is just the detection device that actually converts thermal energy into electrical energy. For example, what you might see in a thermocouple device is actually your thermostat in your home that's keeping temperature of your home with your thermostat device. It's a single device, very cheap, very easy to change. I guess the main limitation of these devices is they're not very accurate. And of course, it causes a lot of errors when it comes to accuracy. So remember, the base point is first stage is thermocouple. Then we look into something a little bit more detail, and that's called thermopile. And thermopile is also referred to as IR sensors, which is infrared sensors. Basically, when you look at the simple point of it, without going into scientific details or electronic details, it's basically, a thermopile is basically composed of several thermocouples. Okay, thermocouple is just a single detector. Thermopiles are multiple thermocouples. They're more accurate, and they're designed for measuring temperature from a distance. And they do that by using the infrared, or the amount of radiation generated from a human body. Okay, thermopile, thermocouple. Now, what we have now in our solution is called thermography or thermographic. That's applied to thermal cameras generally. Basically, the device creates an image from the infrared radiation. It's more than just checking the surface temperature of facial body. It's actually checking the actual body temperature within the human body or object that you're looking at. So similar to like a camera checks for red, green, blue, and visible light, this infrared or camera radiation is checking a specific frequency range only. So it's focusing on the frequency range in the infrared region. And you may also hear with cameras, they have a cooling device to cool the operation of the semiconductors during the operation, because obviously with thermal cameras, it does get quite hot during the operation. So just a couple of pictures to illustrate what thermocouple and thermopiles are referring to. As you see on the left side of the screen is a thermocouple, just 2 points of contact. And then you have the thermopile, which is basically more than one thermocouples. And then you have your general IR sensors you see below on the bottom right corner of the screen. So most of the competitors' products, what you're seeing now is actually using the thermopile/IR sensor solution. And Unicommunity is using the thermography type solution with a camera. Here we're looking at our thermal camera specifications and features of the one that we have with our solution. Basically, it's a third-party vendor device, and it interfaces to our Pro 2 with a standard USB connection. I don't need to go over all of the details of the specification. You can go through that later, and that may apply to certain tenders or specifications later on. But the key points I guess you will look at here on this slide is accuracy, which is 0.5 degrees Celsius, and the operating temperature, and basically the scene range temperature. So if you're concerned about the detection in an area which could have high temperatures or low temperatures, it's still going to detect within the -10 and +150 degrees Celsius range. On this slide, we're looking at the main advantages of the thermal camera. We have the resolution. It's about 4 times higher than the normal standard. And when we look at the camera vendor who supplied us this product, they're the same company who supplies the product to FLIR. They use a similar model as one of the cameras that we use. So that's why you're seeing also the extra expense in our device. We're using a high quality camera. As I heard also, it's used for some military applications in some cases. So that's why you're seeing the high cost. Okay, then also with the resolution on the right side, you've got the accuracy, as I mentioned before, and the temperature range that it's operating in. And the interface is not really important for you, but it's important for us mainly because we are integrating that into our device. You will just have the device integrated already as one device, so you don't really need to concern yourself with that. A lot of other companies have the network type cameras. That's what we're referring to, the RJ45, TCP/IP connector jack. They need distance detection up to reliably 2 meters for detecting facial and temperature detection. Now, when we're applying this camera technology to our Union Community solution, we are applying it to the Alpeta software solution. Now, what we're going to offer you with the Alpeta software solution is first of all, you'll have the ability to detect the log capturing of every person that joins in at that time. Joins in, I mean access at the time. You can use it as a public entry system. What I mean by public entry system is anyone who is not registered or registered, it will detect the temperature of every person passing through at that time. So you can use that, refer to a public entry place. You can also have a mode in our system where it's registering visitors. So their visitor will come in, and as you can see on the picture there, it will take their image, check their temperature, and ask them to register with their mobile phone number. So an easy registration method with entering their mobile phone number will automatically register them in our Alpeta database. Now I have a video here from the thermal camera. I think I shared some with you before. I don't know if I need to show you right now. I'm going to share them separately later, the video. So the key points to remember with the integration on our platform is the temperature is displayed on the LCD of the uBioX Pro 2. Secondary feature is the log data is showing the temperature of the person who entered. And the third features are the ability to use this in a public place where unregistered people can be tracked or traced for their temperature at that time. I see everyone is quiet, no chatting going on, so I hope I explained it clearly. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat group, and we'll get back to them at a later time or during this time if we can answer them at the same time. So I hope everyone understood about the thermal solution using the uBioX Pro 2. I'm going to move on to the next product, which is the Iris Pro 2. One question that popped up, can the Pro 2 be used in outdoor IP65? No, it is not IP65. However, if you have it well covered, there still has the ability to be used outside. Even some of our products that are not IP65, a lot of our customers do install it outside, but in a covered condition. At this time, the thermal camera only works with the UBioX Pro 2. Now remember, it's a brand new release. We have to first release it on one product. We'll see how it goes, if there's any issues, and if it's successful enough and no issues, we will try to possibly consider applying it to other terminals that we have. But right now, it's only the Pro 2. I can't answer all of the questions, but we'll get to them later. So I just seen a few that came up, easy to answer. So let me move on to the Iris device, and I explained it before. The Iris device is a multimodal system. It uses iris and fingerprint, card, password. Now we have two cameras on the Iris. One camera is a 2-megapixel camera. That 2-megapixel camera is mainly for focusing on the face detection of the device, of the object. The face detection is not actually recognizing the face, it's actually detecting a face. Once we detect a face, then we can use the secondary camera, which is a higher resolution 5-megapixel camera, for actually capturing the iris or the eye. At that time, we will capture the iris when we enroll a person, we are actually enrolling both eyes. One eye takes 2 templates. And so we're actually enrolling 4 templates per person for the iris. Now, if we look at the other 2-megapixel camera again, the 2-megapixel camera is detecting if the face is near, and what it will do is use the auto tilt camera for adjusting the person according to the height conditions. So the 2-megapixel camera again is very important for detecting the face and auto adjusting according to the height of the person. And once the face or eyes are within the appropriate distance, and that distance would be no more than 50 centimeters, and we have the eyes in a reasonable area on the screen, then we will capture the eyes at the iris at that time. Now, if you look at the number of users, I said before for 2 eyes. 2 eyes are used during enrollment. 1 eye is used during authentication. And I repeat again in my last presentation that it does not matter if the person has glasses or lenses, it will still detect without any problems. So the number of users for iris for 1 to N, 1 to many is 20,000. And if you're using fingerprint as well, the fingerprint is up to 50,000 users. And if you do the math correctly, obviously you know our fingerprint technology requires 2 templates. So that means 50,000 times 2 is 100,000 templates for fingerprints. If you look at the iris, we're using 1 eye with 2 templates. So that'll be 40,000 templates for the iris users. Now with the fingerprint technology in the iris, we are using our same sensor that we used in our UBio tablet device, which is a FBI PIV FAP20 certified sensor. It's part of the our Pro 2 with the thermal solution. I can't see my image, so I think this looks kind of very difficult to show you here standing up. How does the image look there? It looks okay. You can see the camera with our Pro 2. It's mounted on there with the USB connection inside. And the other one I want to show you. Can you see that okay? So I grabbed the other product behind me. If you can see it well, I hope you can. This is the thermal camera casing built in with the UBioX Pro 2. Now, one thing, this is not available right now. Our design team is still working on the final draft design. This costing will be extra onto what the current cost is that we offered you for the Pro 2 and camera solution. So this casing will be slightly extra cost compared to what you have now for this solution here. This one also detecting, showing the temperature. It's difficult to show you in front because my screen has the camera. Everyone's quiet. I hope that means you understood everything I went through, or maybe it just went over your head and you'll have to review the material later. I would like to say farewell and thank you very much for your time during this session. We will be in touch. If you have any more questions, please put it in the chat group before leaving. And if you have any more requests about products, please also put it in the chat group. We'll get back to you. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.